So friends, you know the old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, with court opinion after court opinion finding that Donald Trump and his administration are routinely acting unconstitutionally, you would think that Donald must think that a constitutional violation a day will keep the democracy away. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, are you ready for the Trump administration constitutional violation du jour? On the menu, the fresh catch of the day is the First Amendment. Let's start with the new reporting. This from NPR. Headline, Judge orders White House to allow AP access to news events. And that article begins, a federal judge on Tuesday ordered the Trump White House to let Associated Press journalists return to the Oval Office and other spaces immediately to cover news events, ruling it was unlawful to block the news service in a dispute over its choice of words. The judge nonetheless stayed his order through Sunday to give the White House time to seek a reversal from a higher court. Nearly 2 hours after his ruling was issued, administration aides turned back an AP reporter and photographer from a reporting pool in a presidential motorcade early Tuesday evening. The AP had angered the White House because it refused to call the Gulf of Mexico by President Trump's preferred name for it, the Gulf of America. The AP acknowledges in its coverage that the U.S. government, Donald Trump, now calls it the Gulf of America, but the news service still relies on the more familiar traditional designation, especially as the AP serves clients internationally. Trump and his aides have barred the news service's White House reporters from dozens of events since February, including events limited to the reporting pool that shares details with other outlets. The AP has participated in such pool coverage for more than a century. The White House has argued it's a privilege to cover Trump up close, one that he controls. U.S. District Court Judge Trevor McFadden, a Trump appointee, ruled that the Trump administration's reason for barring AP reporters mattered. Quote, the court simply holds that under the First Amendment, if the government, the Trump administration, opens its doors to some journalists, be it to the Oval Office, the East Room, or elsewhere, it cannot then shut those doors to other journalists because of those viewpoints. He wrote, the Constitution requires no less. Quote, the government repeatedly characterizes the AP's request as a demand for extra special access, Judge McFadden wrote, but that is not what the AP is asking for, and it is not what the court orders. All the AP wants and all it gets is a level playing field. President Trump, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and Deputy Chief of Staff Taylor Budowich have pointed publicly to the dispute over the Gulf's name as the reason why AP's White House reporters have not been allowed in the Oval Office or on Air Force One since the issue arose. Friends, just think about that for a minute. Journalists, reporters, refuse to use Donald Trump's preferred fake name for the Gulf of Mexico, so the Trump administration responds in substance with F the First Amendment's freedom of speech, freedom of the press. My editorial edition. But friends, apparently the Trump administration, the DOJ who argued this case in court, had a really strong presentation, compelling even. Judge McFadden's ruling paid close attention to the evidence developed in that hearing, at which the government, the Trump administration, the Department of Justice, brought forward no witnesses. The AP, on the other hand, had two of its most senior White House journalists testify in open court. In his ruling on Tuesday, the judge found the AP's evidence and logic compelling, writing that it had suffered significant concrete harm. And so, friends, here we are. Another day, another constitutional violation by the Trump administration. Today, it's the First Amendment. Previously, it was the Fifth Amendment's due process guarantees. Trump's mass deportation of Venezuelan immigrants in violation of their due process rights to notice and opportunity to be heard. And frankly, Donald Trump punishing law firms and lawyers, even banning lawyers from entering federal buildings, federal courthouses, kind of feels like a violation of the Sixth Amendment's right to counsel, doesn't it? I mean, is there any part of the Constitution that Donald Trump is not inclined to violate? Maybe the Eighth Amendment's prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment? Of course, it kind of feels like we the people are being cruelly and unusually punished every minute of every day that Donald Trump is in office. I know that's not precisely what the Eighth Amendment is directed at, but what's next? What might be Donald Trump's next constitutional violation? Maybe the Third Amendment. Anybody remember off the top of their head what the Third Amendment prohibits the federal government from doing? No fair Googling now. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Now, friends, I'd love to say, well, that one is beyond the pale, right? Donald Trump isn't possibly going to violate the Third Amendment. He's not going to try to turn our homes into Motel 6s, involuntarily put up soldiers in our homes, right? That one is beyond the realm of possibilities. With Donald Trump? Let's hope that Donald Trump doesn't flirt with the idea of violating even the Third Amendment. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.